Do we let this tool become like a therapeutic or a benefit to us, or do we let it become kind of a poison?
Welcome to Innovation Springs. I'm your host, Hayley Blackburn, Innovation and Design Librarian, Program Director in C3 Innovation, and affiliate faculty with the Center for Research Frontiers in Digital Humanities. Now, this show spotlights the folks doing cool things across education, research, business, and thought leadership.
This guest is one of our C3 faculty fellows, and we've actually published some work together on AI. He shares a bit more about pedagogy and class design with emerging technologies. Ready for your inspiration.
You can find more information and notes about the show at c3innovation.uccs.edu. Let's dive into the spring.
So my name is Brandon Strubberg. I am an associate professor and chair of the Department of Technical Communication and Information Design, or TCID. So in that role, I administratively manage the department. I teach a couple classes every semester, so a day in my life is really jumping between administrative and pedagogical duties. On top of that, I'm also a C3 Innovation Fellow, so I have a project with that I'm working on. And I'm also a co-director of the Center for Research Frontiers in the Digital Humanities, and spend time with my co-directors on that too.
All right, so you have a lot of different hats, a lot of different kind of spaces where it sounds like you get to be creative, probably solve some problems, and kind of manage things. I'd like to circle back and actually start with the program that you are the chair and in charge of. Tell me just a little bit more about, what is technical comm, info design? I mean, I was a comm major and even got to work in that department. But I know a lot of people don't quite understand what that major is and how close we are to a lot of innovative spaces. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the program and, maybe what's a class that you're teaching right now.
Yeah, so the go-to definition that I have for technical communication is it is the process of managing information that in ways that enable users to take action. That's kind of wordy, so it's at its most simplest terms, we try to help people take expert information and translate it for a non-expert audience. And so that gets into every industry hires technical communicators, whether it's finance or education or healthcare or computer software and hardware, Department of Defense contractors, because technology touches every aspect of our lives. We're all hooked up to our phones every single day. We're connected to devices at all times. We're in the cloud all the time. And so technical writers make those processes usable for people. And at our base, we're a writing program. Technical writing is an actual occupation. It's also a skill set for professionals to use. We also teach user experience, research, and design. And in that regard, we are trying to improve the user interfaces that everybody interacts with every day on their phones, on their computers, the applications that run their lives basically, that they augment themselves with. So for instance, right now I'm teaching two classes. My one class is AI accessibility and augmentation.
Hot topic.
Yeah,
right
and we're talking about it's a 4,000 level senior level class, so it's a senior seminar. We're getting into some theoretical concepts about if we have agentic AI, what does that mean for us as people who create and innovate and all that kind of stuff, and how do we integrate it into the workflows of our daily and professional lives? But then on top of that, how does it impact something like accessibility, where we're trying to make technology usable, not just for the ideal user, for everybody? And then finally, this concept of augmentation and how we're using tools like AI or other technologies to augment our abilities. And then another fun class I'm teaching right now too is it's an advanced user experience class where we are studying how interactive digital interfaces teach users information over time. And we're doing that primarily through gaming. And we just got eye trackers in that we are about to use on an eye tracking
Exciting.
study. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you got new toys. Love that. So it sounds like, right, with the emphasis on how technology intersects with our lives, users' experiences, accessibility, how do you see that connecting, or how did that lead you into your work with the Center for Frontiers in Research for Digital Humanities?
So the way that I approach, and we abbreviated from CFRDH to just the DH Center,
It's much
Digital
easier to
Humanities
say.
Center. Yeah. Um, the way that I approach it is that my expertise with user experience, technical communication, again, trying to take complex ideas and make them usable for people to take action, is approaching digital humanities through this lens of usability and user experience. Um, and really using that as a method to bring, uh, again, digital humanities to people,
Yeah.
and apply that across, various fields.
Yeah. How would you define digital humanities?
Oh gosh, it's a very broad field.
Yeah.
But I mean, at its core, it's bringing this humanistic expression, creation, scholarship, artifacts, and bringing them into digital spaces where people can experience them. A larger breadth of people can experience them. The founder, or one of the founders of the DH Center, who has moved on from UCCS, worked with like spectral imaging on medieval manuscripts. And it's like, how many people get to go experience these
Yeah.
medieval manuscripts outside of like, being next door to the collections that they're housed in. So this was, digital scanning, and looking, spectral imaging to see like, text that's disappeared over 500 years or something. And then you put that into a digital exhibition that anybody can access, and suddenly they all have, um, access to this text that nobody was looking at other than researchers. And then you bring in the user experience aspect of that, is translating what that text actually means, why it's meaningful for them, and then putting it into a format that they can actually experience in a satisfactory way, so
Okay,
they learn
yeah.
something.
Very cool. And so it also seems like, right, a lot of innovation is built into even that project, example in the digital humanities, as we, maybe try to solve problems in terms of access or understanding or things like translation. Yeah, that can be so critical to
Mhm.
moving knowledge forward. Now, speaking of definitions, how do you personally define sort of innovation and inspiration for your work?
So I think the way that I would just define, I don't know if I would really define it, or if I would, a practice of innovation that I'm really drawn to is, um, collaboration,
Okay.
whether that's with other people, whether that's with technologies, tools, um, and seeing when you bring seemingly disparate, whatever it is, approaches, disciplines, again, different kinds of tools like medieval manuscript and spectral imaging, and
Yeah.
suddenly like, what does that mean?
y-
But so I think it's this innovation to me is more of like a collaborative practice that I'm really drawn to, and I think a lot of that comes from my field and background, which has largely been interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Technical communicators are never the technical experts in what they're doing. They're always interacting with subject matter experts, but they are always translating the work they do. So you have to have this close collaboration with the experts, with the technologies, and so because of that, you're really connected as a technical communicator to all sorts of different industries and neat tools. You're always on the cutting edge of the next thing that's coming, and it's just, so I think that collaborative practice to me is what innovation is, and I think inspiration comes from that. And I think whether that's introducing students to collaborative interdisciplinary opportunities, or external partners, through something like C3.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, a cornerstone of C3
Mhm.
is, of course, community. I'm sure we're all about creativity, meeting curiosity, and that last one, we need to collaborate, work with other people, have a sense of community to kind of move things forward. And you are a C3 fellow. Why did you decide to, apply for the fellowship? And what are some things that you've sort of learned or experienced with our cohort and community so far?
So I applied for it, I mean, one, just because the opportunity to be an inaugural fellow for this new initiative, this innovation lab that has kind of been dreamed up here at UCCS. I instantly saw a connection between what they were trying to do with the community, bringing in creativity and curiosity, all that kind of stuff. Again, connecting it to my experience with user experience and technical communication. That again, that collaborative practice, I was just drawn to trying to bring those tools, skills, whatever you want to call it, into that initiative and seeing if there was a way to, be useful, to bring value to it. And so, I think one of the more interesting things that we've done was what was it called? The first Theo thing.
Oh, yeah, our kind of like creativity salon seminar.
Yeah. Okay. So the creativity thing led by Theo Edmonds, what is it?
Creative futurist and
Futurist in
our
residence. That's what I was thinking
executive
of. Yeah.
creative in residence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he had us do an exercise where we're looking at all of our projects, and he had us map them on the board. And of course, we were supposed to categorize them in one of these quadrants, and like every single person is like, well, I mean, we're kind of, you're trying to spatially configure it on the board in a way that you felt fit like your project goals and categories. And what you saw is there was so much overlap, despite the fact that nobody's really studying the exact same topic in any way.
No, it's a very diverse range of
Yeah.
projects in this cohort for sure.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And actually one of the fellows, one of the other fellows in the cohort, who's also looking at AI from a very different perspective. I mean, at this point, because I saw that, I mean, we've been in talks with his department about doing an interdisciplinary minor in AI. So it's already leading to really fruitful collaboration.
Yes. Oh, and I had an interdisciplinary minor myself as an undergrad and cannot speak highly enough about those experiences of connecting across different departments and potentially even colleges. So that's really exciting to hear that, being in that community, getting to just hear what other people are up to and inspired by and the problems they're solving now has led to potentially new opportunities on campus. Well, I would like to turn a little bit more to some recent like research or other personal projects. It doesn't necessarily have to be with C3, but how and just tell me about a project that you've been working on or completed that you felt like, wow, that was innovative. That really pushed my kind of creativity that you think, you're just really proud of.
Well, I mean, really, so I mean, this steps back a couple years. When ChatGPT 3 was released, the first thing that I did, like in our next, I was at a different university at the time leading a program, was I asked my colleagues, anybody want to do like a usability test on this? And a couple colleagues like volunteered, and we conducted a usability test with students to see how they would encounter and use this brand new tool, what they thought of it, and so that started with a very small pilot project that then we were asked to present at multiple venues across the university, to new faculty, to the honors college, all these different things. And it's turned into this like series of publications and research in AI and specifically pedagogy, like how we teach students to leverage, AI to actually benefit them while maintaining critical thinking, while using it as a critical tool for making. And so, I mean, just that whole project, I think, has really defined the last like 3 or 4 years of my career. And I mean, as you know, we collaborated and co-authored on a paper and published it just a few months ago, where we were testing your, new AI chatbot. And I think that was a blast. And I mean, shout out to us.
Right? I mean,
honorable mention for best paper at the conference. But again, like that's a project that has spanned now multiple institutions, multiple colleagues, multiple co-authors, and it's only continuing. And so I think the work with that, with bringing UX, AI, and pedagogy kind of together has just been, just a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun, like very like cutting edge. You were right at the beginning of the wave of, oh my gosh, ChatGPT is out in the educational wild, and now it has, uh, you know, advanced and integrated further and
Mhm.
further into our classrooms, and many institutions, have direct deals and want to get it kind of into the campus experience. You mentioned that that work is kind of continuing. What do you see as the next big kind of stage or development that you'd like to explore?
I think now, so much of my recent research is focused on uh, it's like smaller case studies or usability tests or whatever within this like longer trajectory of like uh, diffusion of AI across like society. And so what I'm really working on now, and this ties directly into my C3 project, is I really want to build a scalable model for introducing um, AI enhanced protocols within like the usability user experience development lifecycle in a way that actually makes sense for the developer and benefits the user at the end. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm trying to take it now. And that's actually at the end of the semester with my digital interfaces class. That's one thing that we're going to be working on. Again, with the eye trackers and looking at app development through an AI enhanced UX workflow.
Well, exciting. And since you are kind of introducing the idea in your classroom, how have you seen kind of the student reaction, response? Like, what's your take on how students feel about kind of this AI integration and potentially how it's going to impact and help, but maybe, hurt, but definitely change, evolve, their future careers and field?
Yeah, I risk sounding too much like a techno optimist, maybe. Um, and but their the history of technology is filled with social disruptions from technologies, going all the way back to Plato lamenting writing
Yeah.
as a technology. And with each step, we've worried and we've fretted over like this crossroads, this fork in the road about what are we going to do as a society? Do we let this tool become like a therapeutic or a benefit to us, or do we let it become kind of a poison? This idea of like the pharmacon is what it's called. Um, and so, looking back at history, I don't know how you couldn't be somewhat optimistic about it. And even if you aren't, regardless, uh, it's here.
Yeah.
It is changing the way we work. And so whenever I come back to what can I do for my students to prepare them, they have to be able to work with it. They can't overly rely on it to do all the work for them. They have to be able to integrate it into their workflows, into iterative processes that enables them to make the best decision for the work that they're doing. So that's the approach that I've been taking with them. That yes, AI is going to disrupt the workplace. Yes, it's going to disrupt the market, the job market for you. It's not going to displace you entirely.
Yeah.
How are you going to be competitive? AI is not going to replace you. Somebody who knows how to use AI really well is going to replace you. So you need to be that person. And within that, we're still discussing, again, that idea of critical thinking with it, of, the ethics behind it, the sustainability problems with it. And students bring all of these concerns to the classroom, to the AI class that we're in right now. And it's a nuanced, kind of messy area sometimes, but uh, again, I think they benefit from learning the tool
Yeah.
and again integrating it into what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that that is a worthwhile approach, and kind of working in the comms and media space, I definitely see how it has changed the work that I do, and knowing how to use it has definitely like helped me
Yeah,
produce even more content at an even higher quality. But yeah, I think it goes back to what you were saying. You do have to learn the skill set first so that way you can kind
yeah.
of enhance it. Um, in kind of your conversations with the students, have any just like have they brought up an interesting point that you hadn't thought of before, or has there ever been a moment, where the students kind of bring some idea that really made you kind of maybe pause and challenge yourself in thinking about the future of tech and integrations?
I think it's more so I always try to start out any class that's going to be using AI in some way and having them play with it.
Yeah.
And originally, whenever it was first released, I felt like that was a really good idea because a lot of them hadn't really used it.
Yeah.
And so now, in trying to find new inventive ways for them to play with it at the beginning of these classes, I mean, that's where a lot of the creativity comes from that I wouldn't have imagined in my class right now, where everybody's building their own bots and they're documenting the workflow that they're going through and trying to identify, like, where's their intention, what is the AI doing, where's a problem or an error that's coming up, and how are they trying to intervene, and really looking at that entire process. And just seeing some of the things that they're building, like, some are really simple and funny.
Yeah.
Trying to assign them character designations from like a novel series. One for generating templates that can be sold on digital marketplaces for people. Others that are like generating like lore, bots from franchises that then continue to delve deeper into the character that the bot is embodying. Like, there's all sorts of neat things they're doing, and the goal isn't to like find out necessarily like some unique way of using it. It's more just them seeing what some of the possibilities are and understanding how this tool actually works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think seeing them make those connections is each semester is all, I mean, that's rewarding, even if it's not necessarily like, I don't know if it's not introducing a new nuance to me necessarily. It's seeing them figure out that it's more than a query machine.
Yeah.
I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting and important. And I think kind of goes back to the paper that we worked on together, where a huge emphasis was also introducing students to that back end kind of
Yeah.
functionality to really demystify. Like, it's not just an empty little prompt space that magically comes up with things. Like, we do need to understand actually what is it producing, how does it work, so that way we can, you know, have better inputs.
Right.
You input slop comes out, and so I really appreciated
Well,
that
and
part.
so, and going back to that paper, I mean, understanding what the bot is drawing from.
Yeah.
So with the instructions that they're giving their custom bots right now, we'll brainstorm as a class to try to, okay, I want to do this, but it's not. It's doing this instead. It's like, okay, well, let's pull up your instructions. What are you telling it to do?
Yeah.
And then we'll brainstorm as a class. Maybe you should add this into the process. Maybe it should check this source
Yeah.
instead. Maybe you should tell it to, respond in this way to prompt a question.
Right.
And I think they're really seeing kind of, just how it actually operates in the back end.
Yeah. It does exactly what we tell it to do,
Uh-huh.
which is great and terrible. It only does what we tell it to do. That's fantastic. Well, as we are kind of wrapping up, one question that I love asking everyone, is really, what is your favorite thing about UCCS? And kind of part two, what would you like to see evolve in our community moving forward?
I think what I've been most impressed by, because I've only been at UCCS I'm in year 2
Yeah.
right now, is seeing how easy it has been to collaborate with people. Again, like, I go back, like, any measure of success that I've maybe had in my career has been collaborative because of collaboration with people. And every meaningful experience I've had as a professor has been through collaboration with students and faculty and partners um, and tools. And so I've just been really impressed with how easy it is to get a hold of somebody, pitch them an idea for collaboration, and usually how willing they and to that degree administration is to kind of support it.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that goes back to like what C3 kind of is. And so I think that's been definitely just the best part about being at UCCS is how easy that's been.
Yeah. Maybe benefit, like, we're small enough where you can feel like, at least I agree, I feel like I've made a lot of connections across the whole campus that are like genuine. I run into these people
Mhm.
frequently enough that, it's a real kind of relationship. But then we're also, just big enough to be able to, dream a little and get some things
Yeah.
accomplished. Yeah. Anything you'd like to see us, evolve or keep maybe pushing as we move forward?
I mean, I'm excited to see where I think C3 goes, from this initial inaugural cohort. And then we have the student fellows coming in next year.
Very
Um,
excited.
pitched that today in class, and
Oh,
one of them is excited about applying.
excellent.
And so, I'm not under, you know, these like great ideals that it's like my project will evolve into something enormous, but I would love to see how each fellow's project has some effect on C3 as it moves forward. So like if I'm working with, the design lab on UX and AI enhanced workflow for entrepreneurs to build an app to make it more user friendly. I would love to see eventually like how those user experience protocols get built into larger projects that C3 might do. And so, I mean, that's from my perspective. Again, I want to see how the other fellows projects, again, leave an impact or a legacy on C3 as we move on.
I look forward to seeing
Yeah.
that day as well. Okay, final
Okay.
question. Anything else that you would like to plug, talk about, name drop?
Well, okay. I mentioned it earlier. I mean, the I'll plug my department, TCID.
Please
It's a
do.
small program, but the way that we interact with every discipline, every industry, tools, technologies, I think people need to see the value of communicating complexity to the public. And so, whether it's the department, the field, concepts, skills related to technical and professional communication, user experience, I mean, that's what I really want to see out of like my project, out of my work, is a more user-centered, you know, place, society. And then I'll also plug the Digital Humanities Center as well.
Oh,
People should check that out.
people should check that
Yeah.
out, right? If you like listening to people talk about cool research and innovation, then you should definitely check out the other initiatives and work from the Digital Humanities Center. Right, well, thank you so much for sitting down with me and just sharing what you've been up to, what you're working on, and I look forward to seeing what you create in the C3 Fellowship and beyond.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me.
And that's today's journey into innovation. Now, want to explore the research and ideas we mentioned today? Everything is linked in the show notes. If you want to be a guest, I'd love to hear your story. Find the submission form at our website, c3innovation.uccs.edu. Innovation Springs is a production of C3 Innovation at the UCCS Kramer Family Library. Studio recording is provided by the Garage at EPIIC. Hayley Blackburn is an affiliate faculty member in the Digital Humanities Center. Theme music is from Simon Trumpf-Lipine, Dreaming of Innovation, Storyblocks. Follow at c3innovation.uccs on social media and check out our website for events, programs, and more opportunities. For more content on the digital humanities, head over to labs.uccs.edu/CREFDH. And for more innovation initiatives, go over to EPIIC.uccs.edu with our friends in EPIIC. See you next episode.